Hello friends, welcome to our channel Path to Betterment. Today's story is about a cab driver who made a decision that turned an ordinary night into an extraordinary memory for someone in need. Let's begin with the story. 20 years ago, I was driving a cab late at night when I got a call to pick someone up at a quiet, dark building. Only one light was on in a ground floor window. Most drivers would honk a few times and leave if no one came out, but I believed in showing care. What if someone truly needed my help? I walked up to the door and knocked. "Just a minute," said a frail, elderly voice. I heard something being dragged across the floor. When the door opened, a small woman, likely in her 80s, stood there. She was dressed like someone from a 1940s movie, in a print dress and a pillbox hat with a veil. A small nylon suitcase sat at her side. The apartment was nearly empty. Furniture was covered in sheets, and a cardboard box with photos and glassware sat in the corner. It looked like no one had lived there in years. "Would you carry my bag to the car?" she asked. I took her suitcase and returned to help her. She held my arm as we walked slowly to the cab, thanking me repeatedly. "It's nothing," I said. "I just treat passengers the way I'd want my mother to be treated." When we got in, she gave me an address but then asked, "Could we drive through downtown?" "It's not the shortest route," I said. "Oh, I don't mind," she replied. "I'm in no hurry. I'm on my way to a hospice shelter." Her words hit me hard. I glanced in the rearview mirror to see her eyes glistening. "I don't have much time left," she said softly. "No family, just memories." I quietly turned off the meter. "Which route would you like to take?" I asked. For the next 2 hours, we drove through the city. She showed me places that held meaning for her. The building where she once worked as an elevator operator, the neighborhood where she had lived as a newlywed, and a warehouse that had been a ballroom where she danced as a young girl. Sometimes, she'd ask me to slow down in front of a particular spot. She'd sit silently, lost in thought. As dawn broke, she said, "I'm tired now. Let's go." We drove in silence to the hospice, a small, quiet building. 2 orderlies were waiting for her. They gently helped her into a wheelchair as I carried her suitcase inside. "How much do I owe you?" she asked, reaching into her purse. "Nothing," I said. "You have to make a living," she insisted. "There are other passengers," I replied. Without thinking, I bent down and gave her a hug. She held me tightly. "You gave an old woman a moment of joy," she said. "Thank you." I squeezed her hand and walked back to my cab. The door behind me closed with a soft finality. It felt like the closing of a life. This is how the story ends. Lessons to learn. Kindness costs nothing. Small acts of kindness can make a world of difference to someone. What seems insignificant to you might mean everything to another person. Presence over perfection. The most important moments in life often happen when we take the time to be present for others. Embrace the ordinary. We often look for greatness in big gestures, but life's most profound moments are often wrapped in simple, everyday actions. Appreciate the journey. Like the woman revisiting her memories, life is about cherishing the journey, not just the destination. Be compassionate without hesitation. You never know when your compassion might touch someone's life in a way you'll never forget. That night taught me a powerful lesson. Great moments aren't always grand. Sometimes they're found in a cab ride, a quiet conversation, or a small act of kindness. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can have the biggest impact. Do you also agree?